And hard as it is for me to give them up and burn to ashes the hopes of future years when, God willing, we might still have lived and loved together and seen our sons grow up to honourable manhood around us, I know, but few small claims upon divine providence. But something whispers to me, perhaps it is the wafted prayer of my dear little Edgar, that I shall return to my loved ones now unharmed. If I do not, my dear Sarah, never forget that how much I love you, and then when my last breath escapes me on the battlefield, it will whisper your name. He did make it. This is from the famous Robert Brooke, at least he's famous in England, and this is from World War I, which was where Napoleonic All-Star War met the Industrial Revolution with the most horrible results. And he goes, what passing bells for those who die as cattle? Only the monstrous anger of the guns, only the stuttering rifles' rapid rattle. Can patter out their hasty orisons. No mockeries now for them, no prayers nor bells, nor any voice of mourning save the choirs, the shrill, demented choirs of wailing shells, and bugles calling them from all their sad shires. What candles may be held to speed them up? Not in the hands of boys, but in their eyes shall shine the holy glimmer of goodbyes. The pallor of girls' brows shall be their pall, their flowers the tenderness of patient minds, and at each slow dusk the drawing down of blinds. He didn't make it. I love this one. This is from an American who went up to Canada in World War II, joined the Canadian Air Force and came over and flew in the RAF at the Battle of Britain. And this is what he wrote while he was still in Canada and had just gotten into his first Spitfire. And it obviously affected him because this is what he wrote. Oh, I have slipped the surly bounds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 1,000 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long delirious burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, where never a lark nor even the eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod through the eye-untrespassed sanctity of space, I put out my hand and touched the face of God. There you go, it's got me in trouble at school as well, that did. Let me just gather myself for a second. So using those words and the education that was going around then, I wonder if the generation we have now will have the command and knowledge of the English language. And,
yes, they will.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yes, they will.
But at school, I was in a debating society, and they had a dirty trick they used to play on you, because they'd pick a subject, and there was a bag with white and black balls, very Greek. And the white was pro and black was con, and it didn't matter what you felt. Mm-hmm. You got the colour, you had to be for or against, which was a very growing experience, because that it's walk a mile in the other man's shoes, basically. When you have to develop an argument to fight against what you think is the correct answer, it really does make you grow. And I went right back to the campfire that I was talking about at the beginning, where they oral history and Tommy Tucker with his tinted textured toilet tissue. See, I don't have false teeth. Well, I do, but they're screwed in. They don't have them. But I thought, well, back to that campfire, and obviously what it led to, the controlling fire, eventually the civilization we have now. I think fire and the wheel are the only two major things we figured out. And, and I thought, what would the elders have said if they were against the fire? And put myself in their shoes, to sort of draw a simile that I'm one of the elders now saying this net is going to be the ruin of everything. And I thought, well, those old guys, what would they say if they were against it? I thought, well, it lights up the night, which means predators can see you in the dark, which is not too good an idea, you'd think. And it also meant you were all clustered together, so a predator could jump in the shoal, and so to speak, and get something. And also that smell of that wood smoke would have masked any predator that was walking up smelling a lion or tiger or homeless people. And that was a bit cruel, wasn't it? And so they would be against the fire and all of that. And so to end on, or to end this part of it before we do the question and answers, my hope is that I'm as wrong as those guys were, and that the net opens up a new, maybe worldwide village where the campfire now becomes the whole globe. And we finally work out that we're all on the same side.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're all Africans. Come on. Thank you, sir. That's my little self-righteous bit. So I've got somebody going around amongst you asking questions. I'm going to ask myself the first one because, well, to get things started, and it's what I get asked a lot. And it's about this person's book I've got here. Oh, I've lost it. Oh, no, I haven't. That's my little note. I did tell you earlier that I had put something into the English language as that's the Rob or Ivory Tower. And I'm sure none of you know it because hopefully it's so far into the English language you weren't aware that it was me. But it's from Lake Lament. And Lake Lament, as you know, goes, breathe deep the gathering gloom. Watch lights fade from every room. Bedsitter people look back and lament another day's useless energy spent. Impassioned lovers wrestle as one. Lonely man cries for love and has none. New mother picks up and suckles her son. Senior citizens. Yes. I wrote that. And it has become part of the language. And also, even though it's actually spelled with an S and a C, it also harps back to that Tiny Tucker's toilet paper thing, and senior citizens is very sibilant and rolls up the tongue. So I'm glad to put that little note in so I can give you that little ego boost for me. Now, a question that we were asked both times when we were doing the, we call it the show and tell. What's the proper name for it? Story. Thank you. You wouldn't believe some of the things we're saying in the dressing room. Is there any children there? No, I can't. But one of the questions is, where do you get your inspiration from? And we've always refused to answer, and I am going to do the same this time, but I'm going to give you a 2-day experience we had, and somewhere in that I got the feeling and wrote the poem that I'll tell you at the end. But we were somewhere in the Midwest, I can't remember where, but we'd finished a gig and we were going to have to fly into Chicago to do some radio work and you know, beg some DJs to play our music so we become famous pop stars, rich, and never have to work again. That didn't quite work out. And the equipment went by road from wherever we were to New York, which was the next gig, and we flew into Chicago. Well, Chicago got hit by a freak storm, and the plane got diverted. We were sent miles away. We had to hire this big bus, you know, well, a small bus by today's standard, but like a 20-seater bus, get all our suitcases in, drive through this rain, you know, sleet and snow, and we got into Chicago at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Go to the hotel. Well, because of the freak storm, a lot of people couldn't get home, and the clerk at the hotel could not keep our rooms till 3 in the morning. So we let them all go to people that were willing to bribe him, which was a lot of people at, say, 12:30 that couldn't get home. And so we were a little stuck, so we went and just got on the phone to the operator and sort of explained our position because we didn't know what else to do. And she was a lovely lady, and she worked with us for about half an hour and found us this motel. Well, we just jump in a cab, go there. It's about 4 a.m. and we're pretty bedraggled and just go to bed. And about 9:30, 10, maybe 10:30, 11, I'm woken up by this great blues guitar hammering out. And I'm listening to that line in bed thinking, and then I hear over this side behind me a couple of sounded like girls doing harmonies and practice. And it suddenly became obvious we were at a hotel where there was a lot of musicians staying. Obviously, maybe a bus tour or something was stopping there. So we trundled downstairs, and we're in this slightly funky but good enough hotel. And we go for breakfast, and there's this big, fat black mama. She goes, "Oh, come on, boys, I'm going to look after you." It was okay, because how much? And she's cooking them, and it's the first time I'd seen proper bacon in America, not this strippy stuff, but you know, round Canadian bacon you used to call it. And it was thick, and proper eggs with yellow yolk, and the white stayed about this big instead of spread. And it was beautiful food. And we were right, there was a bus in there, it was a tour bus. And there was guys playing, and we got chatting, and everything was fine. And we rang up the record company because we figured we better tell them where we were because we were supposed to be going to do some radio interviews. So we rang them, and they said, "Where are we?" Saying the so-and-so motel. They said, "Where's that?" We said, gave them the address, and they said, "Go to your room." Oh. You're in the most dangerous part of Chicago. You're gonna die. And we sit there with all these great musos and these wonderful cook ladies giving us coffee and looking. So they came and fetched us. We went away. And they found us somewhere else to stay the next night. And we did our radio, everything was fine there. And then we got to get to Chicago. Well, we couldn't go by cab. Get to New York from Chicago. Well, we couldn't go by cab. That was daft. So we went and we hired a Chevrolet Impala estate car. Beautiful. We got our bags in the back because we didn't have a lot. You know, we had like 3 changes of underwear, 1 other pair of jeans, and off we head. Well, we were kind of disappointed in this car because it had no guts. It didn't go Chevy Impala with, you know, putting your foot down. And of course, during that journey from Chicago, which was in the midst of this ice storm, we gradually went through. By the time we got to New York, we were in late summer. So we got from the bare trees through the autumn or the fall into late summer. And when we finally did limp in there and drove it in, and it was smelling of burnt rubber, and the temperature gauge was bent against the. And we said to the guy, "Oh, it's this terrible car, no guts in the engine, it's awful." And he looked at it and he said, "Well, you do know it's supposed to be in drive, not 2. We've never driven an automatic. Oh, it's going, that's great. So there we are, hammering at 68, and the engine's going, they had to jump the engine. But in that journey, as I said, we went from the ice storm to late autumn. I saw the sight that made me write, when the white eagle of the north is flying overhead, and the browns, reds and golds of autumn lie in the gutter, dead. Remember then the summer birds of wings of fire flying, come to witness spring's new hope, born from leaves decaying. Just as new life will come from death, love will come at leisure. Love of love and love of life, and giving without measure gives in return a wondrous yearn of a promise almost seen. Live hand in hand, and together we'll stand on the threshold of a dream. Thank you. Oh, you're too kind. But now you know the impossibility of telling you what inspired you, because why that storm and that car and all that got that. Yeah. It was just that valley we went into. We went through a valley, and they call it the red tide, I believe, in New England. One side of it was started, sparsely, and then down in the bottom of the valley there was these magnificent scarlets and yellows and bronzes. All of these wonderful autumn shades. Now we get them in England, and it's the same tree. It's a silver or a white birch, but ours are sort of mustard yellow and sort of brownish, reddish brown. And I was told it's because the temperature change here changes much more rapidly than England. Nothing happens fast in England. It takes you 3 months to get a phone. It's like when I first came here, and I wanted a phone put in, and I can't remember the numbers, but we'll say it was the 4th, and the guy says, "Oh, it was awfully sorry, sir, we can't make it till the 6th. And I automatically, coming from England, I thought it meant the next month and the 6th. I said, "I can't wait that long." He said, "No, we're full up tomorrow." I said, "Oh, 2 days, okay." Thank you. But has my guy got any more questions? Really?
Well, you said you were worried that you wouldn't have anything to talk about the other night, but I told you there's nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn it over to your audience.
It was the bananas that set me off fire.
Oh, I'm directly ahead of you right here. So, real quick, music or literature in the household first? What inspired you first? Was it music or a love of literature?
I think literature, the reason why I say that is I was totally surrounded by music from day one. My father was what you call a semi-professional. He was a tenor, and so was my grandfather and my great-grandfather, and they used to do what you would call vaudeville, we called music hall. They used to come out there and there would be Joe Austin and son, my grandfather in a kilt with and my dad from a little boy to about 19, he'd be there with a funny shaped stick and a tam o'shanter singing, what was that? They sang a lot of songs, but there's one I remember, about golf. And it went, the divots flew and the cuss words too, but the man that I am after is the rotten little Scot that invented this plot to rob the world of laughter. And of course, my father was a big Benjamino Gigli fan. In fact, there was war in the household because father was Benjamino Gigli and mum was Caruso. So finally Mario Lanza came along and things calmed down. And of course mother was, she was trained as a pianist, but she never got to work in an orchestra. There's like one pianist to every orchestra. But she did work professionally because she used to play the piano underneath the screen for the silent movies.
Wow.
You see her every Christmas, she still had to play with her head up like that. Couldn't look down at the notes, it messed her up. So I was totally surrounded by music, as I said. And I'm an only child, so I love solitude. And I got into reading. My first hero was, what's his name? The guy who could talk to animals, Dr.
Dolittle.
Thank you. Them movies were crap. I like the older ones. And then my next hero was a guy called Biggles. You probably won't know him, but he flew. He was permanently young. He stayed sort of 21 all through World War I, where he flew a Sopwith Camel, and in World War II he flew a Spitfire. He was still only 21. But he was a childhood hero. He had everything, the flash and smile, and always beat the bad guys who were all terrible people. And then progressed from that through Treasure Island, Coral Island, A Boy and His Pig in Peru. And then I learned a thing that I really enjoy, which are biographies, especially if it's written by the person themselves, because I love reading between the lines and seeing what the guy thinks about himself. That's a good part. And really, music was just always there, going around in the background for me. But I remember I'd be probably 9, 10, 11-ish around there, and I'm sitting on the mat in front of the fire, and over the radio comes Bill Haley and the Comets, doing a song that very few people have heard of called 10 Little Indian Boys. Do you remember it? 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Indians, 4. And I went, 6 little Indians, that's it, you got it. And I went, bing! And that was the first time music actually spoke all the way through to my core. And that was what set me off on music. And Mum started trying to, thank you. I didn't, some of the boys would say that I didn't really get into music, I'm just a drummer, but. Yeah, what do you call people that hang out with musicians? Drummers. How do you know there's a drummer knocking on your front door? Speeds up. What do you call a drummer without a girlfriend? Homeless. Thank you. I see you suffered. But I tried piano, but Mum, I now discovered, made the mistake that so many people make when they're teaching someone an instrument, especially piano, is this da 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 da, you know, and learn all your scales. Well, that's crushing, and that's what you do to train a concert pianist. Well, how many kids learning to play are going to end up concert pianists? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, who knows? And frankly, who cares? You've got to sit down, and the first thing you've got to treat them is dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum da bloom, so they can play something. And then teach them a 12 bar so they can play something and play a little blues, and then show them if you play a B flat, and you only get black notes, you can't be out of tune. That's really cool. That's the first time you can really let fly, because you're just going down here, and any time you get a black note, it's in tune. And there's 3 of the white ones, if you're unlucky, they're in tune as well, so you might get away with it. But in truth, when I finally did, what happened was, and this haunts me, but I was called the manager of the band. Now this is a garage band in its infancy. I mean, we are really, really crap. But I had the only house with a garage. Didn't have a car, but we had a garage. So we literally were a garage band, and we could store the equipment there. And the drummer used to leave his drum kit. Well, I went in there, and I just loved the drums, still do. And I played them. I played them for about 2 or 3 months, and then I went and got my own kit. Cherry red Trixtons, with an O